23rd day of November 2023. Hello and welcome to the News International Edition. We are coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I'm Emma Okoro. We start today from Canada, where a car erupted into a fireball at a US-Canada checkpoint near Niagara Falls on Wednesday, killing the two occupants, triggering border closures and sparking a massive security alert on the eve of a major holiday. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul, as well as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, confirmed the accident. Dramatic videos showed thick plumes of black smoke rising from a conflagration at the crossing.
The blast happened at the major Rainbow Bridge crossing near Niagara Falls, with nothing left of the vehicle, which was incinerated except for the engine, according to New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Confirming the two fatalities, she suggested the vehicle may have been from western New York State. The victims' identities have not yet been made public.
Individuals died in the vehicle. The Border Patrol individual working in the booth was injured. The booth literally protected that individual. They went to the hospital with minor injuries and have been released.
Hochul said that debris was spread across as many as 14 of the lanes following the accident. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says a vehicle explosion at a Canada-US border crossing near Niagara Falls represents a very serious situation. Mr. Chairman, this is a very serious situation in Niagara. A vehicle exploded at the Rainbow Bridge border crossing. We are still talking to the authorities, including the Americans, our border agencies, Transport Canada, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. I have been briefed by the National Security Advisor and by the Public Safety Minister. I can confirm that the borders have been closed at Rainbow Bridge, Whirlpool Bridge, Queenstone Bridge and Peace Bridge. Additional security measures are being implemented at all our border crossings across the country. It's a very serious situation, but we are going to stay committed to it throughout the day. Police and other security personnel were seen blocking a border crossing after a car erupted into a fireball at a US-Canada checkpoint, causing the death of two people in the blast. The regional FBI field office concluded the blast, which occurred around 400 miles northwest of New York City, was not linked to terrorism. Witnesses described seeing a car traveling at high speed before it crashed into a checkpoint barrier and exploded into flames.
So we were walking up the road and we seen this car coming down towards the border, and he was flying over 100 miles an hour. There was a car in front of him. He swerved out, went in front of the car, hit the fence, went flying up into the air. He hit, I think there was a elevation part. He went up into the air, and we just seen the fireball, and that's all we could see. It was just covered in smoke everywhere. Never seen anything like this. It was just incredible. The fire was so high up in the air. My only concern was I hope nobody else got hurt, because if anybody was in that way, I don't think they would have survived.
Authorities on both sides of the border activated emergency responses, and images showed access roads to the crossing swarming with emergency service workers and vehicles. The White House said President Joe Biden had been briefed and was closely following the developments. The incident came on the eve of the Thanksgiving holiday, one of the busiest U.S. travel days when millions of Americans take to the roads and skies. Rainbow Bridge, among the busiest crossings between Canada and the United States, has 16 vehicle lanes and is normally open around the clock, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. 3 other nearby border crossings had been closed in the aftermath of the incident, but had since reopened, U.S. Customs and Border Protection said. On the U.S. side, Niagara Falls State Park, which attracts millions of visitors every year, was closed until further notice, according to the Park Service. Canada's Public Safety Minister, Dominic LeBlanc, said any time infrastructure like this sees this kind of violent circumstance, it's a source of concern for U.S. and Canadian authorities.
Now, Israeli airstrikes pounded the northern Gaza Strip as the ceasefire beckoned in Gaza more than 6 weeks after an unprecedented Hamas attack sparked an air and ground offensive by Israel, which has vowed to destroy the Palestinian militants. It was also delayed over by last minute. Details of the hostage list, Palestinian official said. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the Red Cross will be allowed to visit the remaining hostages in Gaza as part of the 4-day truce agreed. but insisted that the war continues regardless.
A Palestinian official told reporters Thursday that a delay in implementation of a truce in the Gaza Strip between Israeli forces and Hamas was due to last-minute details over which hostages would be released and how. The truce, widely expected to go into force on Thursday but delayed during the night, had been put back over the names of the Israeli hostages and the modalities of their release, said the official, who has knowledge of the negotiation process but asked to remain anonymous. Lists of those to be freed had been exchanged by both sides, he added. Questions were also being raised over the Red Cross access to the hostages before they would be released into Egypt, he said, and whether the Red Cross would have access to those who remained. When the ceasefire would go into effect would be announced by mediator Qatar in coordination with the Egyptians and the Americans in coming hours today, he added. The agreement follows weeks of war in the Gaza Strip after Hamas militants broke through the militarized Gaza border on October 7th in an unprecedented attack. Israeli officials say about 1,200 people, mostly civilians, were killed, around 240 hostages taken. Relentless Israeli bombardments and a ground invasion since then have killed more than 14,000 people, mostly women and children, according to the Hamas-run government in the Gaza Strip. Under the deal, a humanitarian pause will be followed by releases of an initial 50 hostages from Israel and 150 Palestinian prisoners. All of those to be freed under the 3-to-1 ratio are either women or aged 18 and under. A senior Hamas official reached by phone told reporters that there were obstacles linked to the situation on the ground, hoping that there would not be a mistake that has a negative impact on the truce or prevent it happening. But mediators are shuttling between the two sides and the atmosphere is still constructive, he added. Qatar's Foreign Ministry spokesman Majid Al-Ansari said Thursday that talks were continuing and progressing positively. The timing of the pause will be announced within the next few hours, he said in a statement. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, on the other hand, says the Red Cross will be allowed to visit the remaining hostages in Gaza as part of the 4-day truce agreed between Israel and Hamas, in which the Palestinian militants would free at least 50 of the people taken hostage in their deadly October 7th attack. In turn, Israel would release at least 150 Palestinian prisoners and allow more humanitarian aid into the coastal territory after more than 6 weeks of war. In the early morning, the government made a decision, and I, along with my partners, believe with all my heart that it is the right decision. The agreement reached will not include the release of murderers, and it does allow for representatives of the Red Cross to visit the captives and deliver medication to them. I've had some people refute this. The Red Cross stated they hadn't heard about it, so here is the explicit clause. The Red Cross will be allowed to visit the remaining captives and provide them with the necessary medication, and I expect the Red Cross to do their job. We conducted difficult negotiations. We fought to improve the agreement. I have spoken now, again, with President Joe Biden. I thank him for acting at my request with the mediators to achieve a significant improvement in the agreement, and indeed such an improvement has been reached. I want to be clear. The war continues. The war continues. We will persist until we achieve all our goals, to bring back all our captives, to eliminate Hamas, and to ensure that after Hamas, no entity supporting terror will control Gaza, no one who educates their children for terror or pays terrorists or their families. Gaza will no longer pose a threat to Israel.
The Paris Criminal Court is prosecuting a 36-year-old influencer for glorifying terrorism, identified by media as Wada Anwar. She was arrested early November for making light of the reported killing of an Israeli baby by Hamas attackers. In a video, the woman, identified by media as Wada Anwar, a model, commented on a report by an Israeli first responder who said Hamas attackers had burned the baby alive in an oven during their assault on October 7th. The report has not been confirmed by Israeli authorities. Following strong reactions on social media to the video last week, Interior Minister Gerard Domanian said on Friday he had filed a criminal complaint against Anwar. Prosecutors said she was being investigated for glorifying terrorism and was taken into custody in Paris early on Thursday. The Israeli embassy in France called Anwar's remarks very disgusting. Posting on X, formerly Twitter, the embassy said the unspeakable remarks must not remain unpunished and called for her social media accounts to be blocked. French media say her video was carried on Instagram, but her account was not available on Thursday. Matia Maloshi, a defense lawyer, says Anwar has nothing to do with the actual killings on ground, regardless, while Mayor Hayab, a Republican's MP, believes Anwar was intentional on the crime.
Regarding the Labour Party's request that a video of the October 7th massacres be shown at the hearing, very sincerely I indicated that my client was not being prosecuted for these acts and that even if we are extremely united in the face of acts of terrorism, my client cannot be directly linked to them. That's it. I think this request is out of touch with the criminal procedure applicable today. Here in France, you can be pro-Palestinian or pro-Israel. It's got nothing to do with it. This is an apology for crimes against humanity. It's extremely serious. So we can't allow this kind of thing to go unchallenged because women, children and survivors of the Shoah have died. And so it's important that the courts make a decision.
On attend là de savoir si on dit juin ou pas.
It's not a joke, it's thoughtful, it's filmed, she's showing off, she's taking responsibility and it's repeated. As Maître Pado, my advisor, says, I don't expect anything. I have a lot of contempt for this woman, but I think the punishment should be at the limit. It's not even an excuse. There is not even any need to apologize because the damage has been done, because millions of people have seen this very video.
Now from India, emergency workers have been on standby as Indian rescuers dig through the final meters of debris separating them from 41 workers trapped in a collapsed road tunnel for nearly 2 weeks. Rescue teams have specially fitted stretchers with wheels ready to pull out the exhausted men through 51 meters of steel pipe once it is finally driven through the final section of the tons of earth, concrete and rubble blocking their freedom.
Ambulances were on standby Thursday morning as Indian rescuers dug through the final meters of debris separating them from 41 workers trapped in a collapsed road tunnel for nearly 2 weeks. Emergency vehicles and a field hospital stood ready, journalists at the site said, preparing to receive the men who have been trapped since a portion of the under-construction tunnel in the Himalayan state of Uttarakhand caved in 12 days ago. After days of painfully slow progress, engineers with a powerful drilling machine made a sudden rapid advance on Wednesday before teams had to work through the night to cut through metal roads blocking the route. Drilling resumed Thursday. The mountain has been throwing us challenges one after another. As you are aware that we faced a challenge last night as well, it is difficult to say with certainty whether we will reach them tonight, but we are hopeful that we will be able to rescue them by tonight, as not much work is left to be done. The Ogra machine's work has resumed and pipes are being inserted. We hope that there are no more obstacles after this. All our teams from SDRF and NDRF and other stakeholders are on standby. We have also done rehearsals on how to get people safely out of such types of pipes or even narrow ones. Rescuers are hoping for a breakthrough within hours, although the government has also repeatedly warned any timelines were subject to change due to the technical glitches, the challenging Himalayan terrain, and unforeseen emergencies. Inside the Silchara tunnel entrance, a journalist said the site was a flurry of activity. We have also customized our equipment. We have put wheels under the stretchers so that when we go in, we can get the people out one by one on the stretcher. We are fully prepared. Worried relatives have gathered outside the site where a Hindu shrine has been erected with a priest holding prayers for the safe rescue of the trapped men. The day they will come out of the tunnel, it will be the biggest, happiest day for us, said Chachal Singh, Beast, 35, whose 24-year-old cousin Pushkar Singh Ari is trapped inside. Rescue efforts have been hampered by falling debris as well as repeated breakdowns of crucial heavy drilling machines. In case the route through the main tunnel entrance does not work, rescuers also started blasting and drilling from the far end of the unfinished tunnel, nearly half a kilometer long. Preparations have also been made for a risky vertical shaft directly above. The workers were seen alive for the first time on Tuesday, peering into the lens of an endoscopic camera sent by rescuers down a thin pipe through which air, food, water, and electricity are being delivered. Though trapped, they have plenty of space, with the area inside 8.5 meters high and stretching about 2 kilometers in length. The tunnel is part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's infrastructure project aimed at cutting travel times between some of the most popular Hindu sites in the country, as well as improving access to strategic areas bordering rival China. But experts have warned about the impact of extensive construction in Uttarakhand, large parts of which are prone to landslides.
Now, Taiwan president inspected new recruits undergoing battle simulation training at an army camp as Taiwan prepares to extend its compulsory military service from 4 months to a year beginning January 2024 amid its rising tensions with China. Taiwan, claimed by China as its own, says these Chinese forces carried out 2 days of large-scale air and naval exercises of Taiwan's southwest and in its air defense identification zone, denouncing it as provocation. China has stepped up its military activity around Taiwan this year. During Tsai's inspection of the Cheng Kunlin base, he told a group of trainees that her administration's decision to extend the service period for conscripts from 3 months to 1 year was aimed at safeguarding the nation's security and ensuring that Taiwan's democratic way of life will not be changed. As part of an effort to improve Taiwan's combat readiness, the military is also updating its training programs, providing conscripts with new helmets and bulletproofs, and purchasing new mortars, cannons, and machine guns, she said. While the compulsory military service period will be extended from next January, the starting pay of conscripts will also increase from $6,510 new Taiwanian dollars to $20,320 new Taiwanian dollars per month to ensure they have enough to cover basic expenses. The president said the decision to lengthen the period of compulsory military service for male nationals with effect from January 2024 is amid its strengthening Taiwan's combat readiness against any attacks by China, the government said last December when it announced the new policy.
In the face of an increasingly complex global situation and changing regional politics, and in order to ensure our country's security and our freedom and democratic way of life, we definitely need to adjust the length of compulsory military service. Beginning next year, our compulsory military service will again be 1 year. Today, I am here at Cheng Gongling, new recruits training camp, to see the preparations going on. Our goal is to ensure that each recruit has the ability to defend against the enemy and help in civil defense, and the conviction that we can only depend on ourselves to protect our country. We are simulating real battle situations where there are sounds of gunfire and explosives so that the new soldiers can feel the pressure of a real battle.
A local man in Normanton, Northern Australia, of him checking the homemade traps for rats as a plague of native rodents floods a nearby coastal fishing village. Plagues of bald as hell rats have overrun tropical fishing towns in Northern Australia, where residents are clearing piles of smelly dead rodents off the beach every morning. The native long-haired rats have been steadily marching towards the coast after a bumper wet season in inland Australia, spreading hundreds of kilometers in their hunt for new crops to nibble on. Now they have reached the Gulf towns of Karumba and Normanton in the state of Queensland, harassing pets, clambering over boats and stripping cars of their wiring. Met there are rats everywhere, said Normanton local Derek Lord, 49, who runs a vehicle hire business. They're told they're that bold, they're coming out during the day. We have hired vehicles and they have literally destroyed a car overnight, taking all of the wiring out of the engine bay. Lord said his pet ducks had been going mad as rats broke into their cages and stole their eggs. Last night the ducks were going mad and I went downstairs to see what was going on, thinking maybe there's a cat in there or something. And there's lots of rats running through the cages, through the pens, chasing ducks. They're just bold. Rats have also infested the nearby town of Karumba, better known as the Maramundu fishing mecca of Australia. Fishing charter owner Gemma Prober told reporters piles of drowned rodents had been washing up on the shore front every morning. It's pretty bad here. The last week we've had all of them over the beaches, some alive, some dead, she said. It's not very nice down here. It's a bit smelly. The council has been cleaning up the beaches every morning just to try and keep that at bay. Bomb and bust weather cycles dominate much of inland Australia, where heavy rains can fuel rapid crop growth after years of crippling drought. These patterns are often accompanied by booming populations of pests such as locusts, rats and mice. With more wet weather likely for Queensland, Probert said she had been told the worst was yet to come. We've heard there are still more that are coming, she said. And that's all the international news we had for you this afternoon. We'll be back again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Thank you for watching. Have a good afternoon.